YouTube. Welcome back to Common Sense, Logic, and Reason. Today in this video, I'm going to address another example of race hustle rhetoric, and this will be an example of historical crime, that being the bombing of Black Wall Street. If you've ever been in exchange with any race hustle for any length of time, inevitably you're going to run into this, especially ever since there's more light being shed on it. It's becoming more of a household phrase than it ever was. But to set the stage, back in the days during segregation, when blacks were really treated like second-class citizens, when they really truly can say have talks of racism and oppression, in order to help facilitate this segregation, there were certain areas that were set aside for black people so that whites wouldn't have to be around black people, and blacks can have their own little area. One such places was Tulsa, Oklahoma. Now in Tulsa, since blacks and couldn't was being kept from having interaction with white people, economic interaction with white people, we had to do it with ourselves. So blacks, they had to have group economics and money themselves. And in Tulsa, I believe it was oil that was found, and blacks in Tulsa used the money from that oil to build great wealth in Tulsa. I mean, if we had to practice group economics amongst ourselves, we had to have our own shops, own businesses, own stores, own doctors, lawyers, banks. We controlled our own police officers, police departments, and as well as fire departments. So there was a mass amount of wealth that was built amongst blacks in Tulsa, and allegedly the white people were angry and enraged about it. But in May 3rd of 2020, 1921, excuse me, in 1921, there was an incident in which a man, Dick Rowland, he basically was accused of assaulting a female, Sarah Page, a white female, in an elevator, which she said several times that he just simply bumped into her and it was really nothing. But he was accused of assaulting a white female. And the following day, on May 31st, he was arrested, and police officers had to barricade themselves in to keep the mobs of white people from getting in to try to kill him before justice can be administered. And those mobs of whites got into a shootout with several blacks, but unfortunately blacks who are outnumbered had to retreat. And the whole incident spilled over to June the 1st, in which the actual incident happened. And this is when mass waves of whites, these racist white folks who really were racist, and we can say that, they went into the black area and they firebombed. They will set fires to the building. They bombed it, dropped bombs from the air from planes. These mass waves of whites were going around looking for blacks, and the net result, there was a lot of property damage, millions of property damage, a lot of wealth that was lost. And I believe something like 300 or 400 blacks were killed in this incident. And this was a very terrible, heinous incident, and we can all agree it's a blight on American history. But then, hell, human nature, human history has a blight on it. So there's no group or no race that's above heinous acts. And this was just one of them. It's an incident that we shouldn't forget. We shouldn't forget none of history, even though history tells us that human beings tend not to learn from history. But this was a terrible, heinous incident, and we can all agree, I don't care what your skin color is, what your skin shade is, we can all agree it was a terrible, heinous incident. However, here's the problem. It happened back in June 1st, 1921, which, coming up, it'll be 97 years this happened. I mean, again, we should remember it, but the question has to be asked, why is it that we put so much emphasis on this issue as a black people? I mean, what black person in America today is being held back from achieving their goals in life because of this incident that happened, coming up 97 years ago? Again, I'm not saying that we should forget the incident, but like black folk, we can't dwell on the incident, and that's one of our problems as blacks in America. We dwell on the past, and that's a terrible thing because as that old saying goes, if you dwell on the past, you're gonna lose an eye. If you forget the past, you're gonna lose both. I'm not advocating for either forgetting or dwelling, but we tend to dwell on the past too much. I mean, that's absolutely nothing at all about the bombing of Black Wall Street that's impacting blacks today. And the way black people have cried about it lately, years swept it down, they're still bombing it. Now, I mean, as far as those blacks who actually, if there's any blacks who are alive who lived during the time, but it's still not stopping anyone, even them, from achieving their goals in life. And if we put as much time and emphasis on building wealth as black people as we do crying about his history and historical incidents, hell, we would have Black Wall Street Part 2 through 5. We would have more Black Wall Streets than the episodes of Rocky. All the wealth that would be generated if we spend as much time and energy crying on building wealth. That's how much wealth we would have as black people. So crying about the bombing of Black Wall Street and using it as some example of something is ridiculous on the part of black. Again, sure, it happened, but to dwell on it is just taking energy and the time and focus away from more bigger issues, and that being those self-inflicted problems that are happening in the black community. I mean, if we keep dwelling on history, black people, if we keep dwelling on history, we're going to lose an eye. And if we keep dwelling on the white man, niggas are going to take the other eye. So, and we see evidence of this because the biggest problem or the biggest danger facing blacks in America today are the blacks, yet we continue to focus on nonsense. I mean, it absolutely amazes me how you can take any typical brainwashed black person today, show him the movie Rosewood or Mississippi Burning, and you watch how they would just get incensed, enraged about the movie. Meanwhile, they don't act the same about the fact that what we doing to ourselves today, that we are the greatest danger to ourselves today. You won't get one single black, any of these brainwashed blacks that act the same about a black killing a black person today than they would about some historical event or a movie, or just watching a movie in the past. They're even more concerned about birth of the nation than what's going on in our own community. And that's, again, in lies the problem. Where much of the problem lies is we spend more time and waste more time on nonsense than the relevant issues of today. But anyway, if you ever hear a race hustler or a brainwashed black person bring up the bombing of Black Wall Street as some evidence of the past ills of black people in America, well, now you know, and knowing it's half the battle. And as always, until next time.